Hey everyone, 40 the Broadway Saiyan here, and welcome back again to my YouTube channel with another video on Dissidia Final Fantasy Opera Omnia. In today's video, we will be going over Global DFFOO's next new character event featuring the debut of one of Final Fantasy XI's antagonists, KAM'LANAUT. KAM'LANAUT will be joined as synergy with Shantotto, Rydia, and our current Lost Chapters character, Lulu. Our topics for this video will be KAM'LANAUT's entire kit, the banner featuring KAM'LANAUT and Shantotto's EX weapons and their realizations should you pull on the banner, and the Chaos boss fight against the two Protean bosses. This character event will not be featuring any level 70 awakenings or reworks for past characters. Once again, keep in mind that every skill, passive, buff, and debuff I go over is assuming you have every single weapon passive available for the character, as I want to show them at their maximum potential. Lastly, big thanks to Dissidia DB, the Tonberry Troop, and Safina's database for the information provided on this video. Without further ado, let's go ahead and dive right into the KAM'LANAUT character event for Global DFFOO. KAM'LANAUT, the Archduke from Final Fantasy XI, joins the Global DFFOO roster primarily as an ice melee damage dealing unit with framed buffs that have an aura effect of lowering the enemy's attack and max brave, and further changing the nature of his skills, making them more potent. Let's start by going over his unique buffs and debuffs. The first one is called Esoteric Region, which has an 8-turn duration, can stack up to 5 stacks, changes his Brave and HP attacks into the plus variants, and lowers all enemies' attack and max Brave by 10%. One thing to keep in mind is at 5 stacks, Esoteric Region is dispelled from KAM'LANAUT as it will be replaced by his other buff, Charismatic Impetus. Charismatic Impetus has a 6-turn duration, dispels Esoteric Region from KAM'LANAUT, changes his Brave and HP attacks into their plus variants, changes the properties of both his skill 1 and 2, and lowers all enemies' attack and max Brave by 10%. This unique buff is dispelled if KAM'LANAUT is broken. His last two unique buffs are Wisdom of the Xylart, which has a 6-turn duration, increases his attack by 30% and max brave by 40%, and Charismatic Archduke, which has an 8-turn duration, increasing the party's attack and max brave by 20%. Finally, KAM'LANAUT's unique debuff is called Addle, which has a 1-turn duration, effectively lowering the enemy target's attack and max brave by 30%. Passive-wise, KAM'LANAUT's most noteworthy ones are the following: his C50 passive called Loyalty Inspiring Charisma, which increases his attack and max brave by 10% while Wisdom of the Xylart is active, his C54 passive, which increases his attack by 50% and speed by 40% when he is buffed, his C58 passive increases his max brave by 50% while he is buffed, and finally, his C68 passive, which permanently increases the party's attack and max brave by 10%. KAM'LANAUT's C65 ability is called Set Charismatic Impetus Attack Up, which grants him Charismatic Impetus for 6 turns and dispels any currently active Esoteric Region and increases his attack by 15% for 4 turns. His skill 1 is called Frostblade, which is a 2-hit ice melee single target brave plus single target HP attack with a 300% brave damage potency, 120% brave overflow, grants Wisdom of the Xylart for 6 turns, and increases a currently active Esoteric Region by 2 stacks. This skill transforms into Glacification under his Charismatic Impetus buff, which is now a 5-hit ice melee single target brave plus single target HP attack with a 350% brave damage potency, 150% brave overflow, grants Wisdom of the Xylart for 6 turns, and has a 60% chance of inflicting paralysis on the target for 1 turn. Glacification becomes Glacification Plus after KAM'LANAUT breaks a target or is attacking a broken target with his Brave Attack Plus Plus. Glacification Plus has the same properties as the base variant with an increased brave damage potency to 400%, now inflicts paralysis at a 100% rate, and reverts back to either Frost Blade or Glacification after usage. Moving forward, KAM'LANAUT's skill 2 is called Esoteric Region. This skill begins by healing KAM'LANAUT's Brave based on 150% of his attack, and then delivers a 2-hit Ice Melee single target Brave plus single target HP attack with a 240% Brave damage potency, 150% Brave overflow, heals his own Brave by 20% of the HP damage dealt, and grants 2 stacks of Esoteric Region for 8 turns. Under his Genesake Impetus buff, Esoteric Region turns into Esoteric Region Plus, which heals his Brave based on 150% of attack, delivers a 4-hit Ice Melee single target Brave plus single target HP attack with a 360% Brave damage potency, 180% Brave Overflow, heals his own Brave by 30% of the HP damage dealt, and this time grants Genesake Impetus for 6 turns, but no longer grants Esoteric Region. While KAM'LANAUT has either Esoteric Region or Genesake Impetus when receiving an enemy attack, he inflicts Addle for 1 turn. As you can see, KAM'LANAUT has quite an interesting kit with his actual buffs acting as an aura to reduce the enemy's attack and max Brave while further improving his skill performance with his buffs and the ice element. The added paralysis gives his kit a great way to stun lock enemies. If you plan on building his artifact passives, definitely go for attack plus 108 and either max Brave plus 330 or loyalty inspiring boost 2-star. As stated earlier in the video, there are no new level 70 awakenings or reworks featured in this character event, so the next topic will be the banner itself. The banner will feature a rerun of all of Shantoto's weapons including her EX, a rerun of Rydia's 15 and 35 CP weapons, and the debut of all of KAM'LANAUT's weapons. Rydia at this point is going to be sidelined until she gets her rework and EX realization later on. Both KAM'LANAUT's and Shantoto's EX weapons do receive a realization. Let's go ahead and take a look at those to see if they are worth your hard-earned gems and tickets. First off, let's take a look at Shantoto's EX realization. Upon realizing her EX, Shantoto gets the following upgrades. 0 out of 3, further increases the Brave damage potency of her Divine Malison and Rage Divine Malison to 400% and adds a 120% Brave Overflow. Her unique debuff Divine Malison will now imperil every single element in the game. While enraged, Divine Malison will be dealing an AoE Brave damage and as well as inflicting the Divine Malison debuff on all targets. It will also deal a 1.6 times increased Brave damage on a single target and deal 50% HP Splash damage to other targets. 1 out of 3 permanently increases Shantoto's attack and max Brave by 20% and allows her to immediately cast her EX at the start of the battle. 2 out of 3 allows Divine Malison and Rage Divine Malison to inflict a Cursed Gaze on all enemies for 3 turns and grants her a new unique buff called Peerless Power for 4 turns, which increases her attack and Brave Overflow by 20%. It also extends any existing buffs she has by 2 turns. It also allows her to start the quest with Peerless Power for 6 turns, and when enraged under Peerless Power, changes her Brave and HP attacks to their ++ variants. Finally, 3 out of 3 increases the Brave hits of Divine Malison and Rage Divine Malison to 5, further increases the Brave damage potency of Divine Malison and Rage Divine Malison to 500%, and allows Divine Malison to deal 50% splash damage to other targets, and allows Rage Divine Malison to deal 100% HP damage to all targets. The A-type sphere unlocked from Shantoto's EX weapon is called Break Hit Base Boost Short, which raises the equipped character's initial and max Brave by 10% for 3 turns when breaking or attacking a broken target. Let's go ahead and take a look at the brand new EX weapon for KAM'LANAUT. Prior to its realization, KAM'LANAUT's EX weapon equips his EX ability Great Wheel. Great Wheel is a 2-hit non-elemental melee AoE Brave plus AoE HP attack with a 180% Brave damage potency, 1.6 times increased Brave damage against a single target, deals 100% HP damage to all enemies, grants Charismatic Archduke for 8 turns, increases any currently active Esoteric Region by 2 stacks, and delays the target by 1 turn. While his Genesake Impetus buff is active, Great Wheel turns into Great Wheel Plus, which is a 4-hit non-elemental melee AoE Brave plus AoE HP attack with a 360% Brave damage potency and has the previous effects of the base variant of this EX ability. On to the realization. At 0 out of 3, both Great Wheel and Great Wheel Plus get a Brave damage potency increase, 240% for the base and 480% for the plus. Both versions now have a 120% Brave Overflow and both heal KAM'LANAUT's Brave by 20% of the HP damage dealt. 1 out of 3 permanently increases KAM'LANAUT's attack and max Brave, respectively by 40% for the attack and 60% for the max Brave. 2 out of 3 allows KAM'LANAUT to start the quest with Charismatic Archduke and 2 stacks of Esoteric Region for 8 turns. Finally, 3 out of 3 grants Great Wheel and Great Wheel Plus a Brave heal, prior to the Brave damage dealt, which is based on 100% of attack for the base and 200% of attack for the plus variant, increases the Brave damage potency for both variants, which is 280% for the base and 560% for the plus, and increases the Brave Overflow for both variants to 150%. The E-type sphere, obtained from KAM'LANAUT's EX, is called Full HP Break Hit Attack Down, which allows the equipped character to inflict a 30% attack down on the target for 6 turns when breaking or attacking a broken target. After taking a look at both of these EX realizations and what they do, should you invest your gems and tickets on this banner? If you are a new player, this banner would be decent to pull on in order to slowly build your roster, especially for Dimension's End where you will need different party compositions. However, if you are already stacked with a great inventory of powerful realized EX weapons, then I will personally say pass on this banner. The prize on the banner is actually Shantoto, as the Imperils make her a great option, especially since the mechanic itself has been improved. However, Shantoto's EX weapon can be obtained for free if you still have the EX tokens obtained from completing the Dimension's End order. KAM'LANAUT offers some unique tricks up his sleeve. His strengths lie in his strong attack and max brave increases, including 2 auras to the party, a powerful debuff aura coming from his actual buffs, and the ability to control enemies with his paralysis and delay. However, his biggest drawback is his stacking mechanic in order to obtain his Genesaic Impetus buff, which grants him access to the better versions of his skills. While he can immediately set this buff with his C65 ability, it is still limited in use, and let's not forget, he immediately gets this buff dispelled if he is broken, forcing him to reset and rebuild. It is highly advisable to run him with a battery that can provide Brave regen, or even with a tank like Warrior of Light to avoid getting broken and losing Genesaic Impetus. Running him with Onion Knight can help him greatly, as he can take advantage of the Ice Imperil to deal more damage as he builds himself with his stacking mechanic. Overall, he is not a bad character by any means, but definitely needs a bit more meticulous play in order to make him shine. If you do decide to skip this banner, KAM'LANAUT's EX does return on his Lost Chapters banner, where LD weapon will be debuting for him, and he will also get a rework which makes him much better to pull for then. Our final topic for this video will be discussing the Chaos difficulty boss fight against the pair of Protean Gargoyle bosses. Both bosses will be immune to the defense down debuff, resistant to brave magic damage, and an elemental weakness to all of the elements. Its key ability you want to watch out for is called Hop Spin. Hop Spin is a powerful AoE brave attack that grants the Protean Gargoyles a powerful buff called Intimidation Plus. While this buff is active, they will grant them a resistance to melee and ranged brave attacks, and they will prevent your party members from gaining any brave while it is active. This buff can be dispelled by breaking the Protean Gargoyle. They can also shift stances from attack stance to defense stance, which increases the corresponding stats accordingly. Having a character that can imperil and enchant is key to making this fight more manageable. Onion Knight and Lulu are great choices for their abilities that can enchant and imperil their corresponding element. Shantoto, while lacking an element enchant to the party, can come in handy after further lowering their elemental resistance with her debuffs. Aranea, combined with either Onion Knight or Lulu, is another great option, especially with her powerful debuff that guarantees critical damage. Lastly, Yuri is another great choice, as he inflicts Holy Imperil and wields the element himself. Hopefully this video helps you guys prepare for the upcoming KAM'LANAUT character event on Global Opera Omnia. Thank you again for watching. This is 40 the Broadway Saiyan signing out. Mahal, everyone.